The moonlight cast long shadows between the abandoned buildings. Jinho and Hakjun Lee stood 20 meters apart, each partly hidden by the darkness. Neither had fired yet. This was a different kind of battle now, one of patience and psychology. "You are from the Korean program," Lee said, his voice calm. "I can tell by your stance. They still teach my methods, I see." Jinho did not answer. He was looking for any advantage, any weakness in Lee's position. "The Federation thinks so little of humans," Lee continued. "They use us when it suits them, then discard us. Is that not why they sent you alone to face me? They expect you to die here." "My team is safe," Jinho replied. "That is what matters." Lee laughed softly. "Loyalty, another human trait the aliens do not understand. They sent you against me because they see us as the same. Expendable." Jinho knew Lee was trying to distract him, make him angry or doubtful. It was an old sniper trick. Make your target emotional and they make mistakes. "Why did you join the Scourge?" Jinho asked, partly to gather information, partly to buy time as he planned his next move. 3 years ago, I led a security team, protecting Federation diplomats on Earth," Lee said. "We were attacked. I called for Federation backup, but they decided the risk was too high. They left us to die." "But you survived." "Yes. I survived to see my entire team killed. Humans, all of them. The aliens decided our lives were worth less than the risk of sending help." Jinho could hear the bitterness in Lee's voice. "So now you fight against the Federation." "I fight to show them that humans are not weak, that we are not expendable. The Scourge understand this. They value my skills, my knowledge." While they talked, Jinho was slowly reaching into his pocket. His fingers found a small metal device, one of his sensor units. "The Scourge are using you," Jinho said, trying to keep Lee talking. "They do not care about humans any more than the Federation does." "Perhaps," Lee admitted, "but they fear me. Fear is better than the pity and contempt the Federation shows humans." In one quick movement, Jinho threw the sensor device high into the air. Lee reacted instantly, firing at the movement. The shot hit the device, destroying it in a small flash of sparks. But Jinho had already moved. He rolled to his right, behind a fallen piece of wall, and fired 2 shots at where Lee had been. But Lee had moved too, disappearing into the shadows of a nearby building. "Good reflexes," Lee called out. "But predictable. I taught that distraction technique." Jinho did not respond. He crawled silently to a new position behind a large metal container. His mind was racing. Lee knew all the standard tactics. Jinho needed something unexpected, something that went against all his training. For the next hour, they played a deadly game through the ruins. A glimpse of movement, a quick shot, a fast retreat. Neither could gain an advantage. They were two, evenly matched, each knowing what the other would do before they did it. Jinho realized this could go on until one of them made a mistake from tiredness. But the longer it took, the more likely the Scourge would send reinforcements. He needed to end this soon. Then he had an idea. Something completely against all sniper training. Something no trained sniper would ever expect. Jinho took a deep breath. What he planned was dangerous, possibly suicidal, but it might work because it was so unexpected. He fired 3 shots into different areas, making Lee think he was moving around. Then Jinho did the one thing no sniper would ever do. He stepped out into the open and walked directly toward where he believed Lee was hiding. For several seconds, nothing happened. Jinho kept walking forward, his rifle at his side. He was betting everything on Lee's surprise at this bizarre tactic. "Have you lost your mind?" Lee's voice came from a darkened doorway to Jinho's left. "Maybe," Jinho answered. "Or maybe I realized that 2 snipers who know all the same tactics will be stuck in a stalemate forever." He kept walking toward the doorway. "We can end this another way." "By you surrendering?" Lee asked, still hidden in the shadows. "By talking. Soldier to soldier, human to human." Jinho was now just 10 meters from the doorway. He could see Lee's outline in the darkness. "Rifle raised, stop there," Lee ordered. Jinho stopped. "The Federation is not perfect, I know that. But working with the Scourge is not the answer. Easy for you to say. Your team did not die because of Federation cowardice. My team is alive because I chose to face you alone, Jinho countered. That was my choice, not the Federation's order. He took one more step forward. The aliens do not understand humans fully, that is true, but they are learning. My squad respects me now. They see what humans can do. Respect is not enough, Lee said. They need to fear us. Fear leads to more fear, more violence. It never ends. Jinho took another step. Come back with me. Help change the Federation from within. Lee's rifle did not waver. It is too late for that. Jinho shook his head. It is never too late. Your skills could help train others. Show the Federation how valuable humans can be. For a long moment, neither spoke. Jinho could see Lee's finger on the trigger. One twitch, and it would end. Then a sound came from behind them. Many footsteps, moving quickly. Lee tensed, ready to fire. That is my squad, Jinho said quickly. I turned my comm back on before I approached you. They have been tracking me. You tricked me, Lee said, anger in his voice. I gave you a chance to surrender peacefully. Jinho remained calm. The choice is still yours. Fight and die here, or come back and help make things better for humans and the Federation. The footsteps were closer now. Jinho could hear Kyvex's voice calling his name. They came back for you, Lee said, sounding surprised. Aliens came back for a human. Yes. Because we worked together. We saved each other. That is how change begins. Lee was silent for a moment. Then slowly he lowered his rifle. Your Lieutenant Dae-sung, I know him from before. Is he a good commander? One of the best, Jinho said. He gave me a chance when others would not. Lee seemed to consider this. I will not surrender to the Federation directly, but I will surrender to you as one human to another. Jinho nodded. Agreed. Lee stepped out of the shadows just as Kyvex, Miran, and several other soldiers arrived, weapons raised. Do not shoot, Jinho called out. He is surrendering. Kyvex looked confused. You captured him? Alone? Not by fighting, Jinho explained. By talking. Sometimes that is the better way. Lieutenant Dae-sung pushed through the group. Park! Are you injured? No, sir, I am fine. And I have a prisoner who has valuable information about the Scourge forces. Dae-sung looked at Lee with surprise. Hak-jun Lee. I never thought I would see you again. Things change, Lee replied simply. As they walked back through the ruins toward the landing zone, Kyvex fell in step beside Jinho. I do not understand, the Venturi said. How did you defeat him? He had killed or wounded 6 of our soldiers. Jinho glanced at Lee, who was walking ahead with Dae-sung. I did something no sniper is ever taught to do. I approached him directly. It was so unexpected that it worked. Kyvex shook his head in amazement. That makes no sense. It goes against all tactical logic. That is exactly why it worked, Jinho explained. Humans sometimes succeed by doing the illogical thing, the unexpected thing. Miran joined them. Is that the special human ability you mentioned before? Doing the thing that makes no sense? Jinho smiled slightly. We call it thinking outside the box, seeing solutions that are not obvious. Later, as the ships returned to Outpost Helios 7, Jinho sat across from Kyvex and the other alien soldiers. They were looking at him differently now, not with mockery or doubt, but with genuine respect. The Federation told us that humans were physically inferior, Kyvex said. They should have told us about your other abilities. Perhaps they did not understand them, Jinho suggested. Perhaps we all have things to learn from each other, Miran added. Jinho nodded. In the Federation, humans might not have the physical advantages of the alien species. They might not see in the dark or move with incredible speed. But they had their own strengths, their own ways of solving problems that others could not see. And now, the aliens were beginning to understand that. The dropship flew low over the moon's surface, staying close to the ground to avoid detection. Inside, 16 soldiers of the 57th Special Operations Unit checked their weapons and equipment. The mission had been expanded. Instead of just 12 soldiers, Lieutenant Dae-sung had added 4 more to the team. Jin-ho sat near the back of the ship, his rifle across his lap. He was thinking about what he knew of Hak-Jun Lee. The man had been a legend in Earth's military. His shooting record was even better than Jin-ho's. If Lee was now their enemy, this mission would be very dangerous. Myran sat down beside him. "You are quiet," she said. "I am preparing mentally," Jin-ho replied. Myran nodded. "The abandoned city will be a hard place to fight. Many hiding places, many tall buildings." Jin-ho knew she was right. The old human settlement had been built 20 years ago when humans first joined the Federation. It was supposed to be a major colony, but problems with the air systems made it unlivable. Now it was a ghost city with empty buildings and broken streets, perfect for snipers, Jin-ho said quietly. Lieutenant Dae-sung moved through the ship to speak with each soldier. When he reached Jin-ho, he bent down to talk privately. "I have new information about Lee," he said in a low voice. "He was not just any sniper. He was the trainer for your sniper program on Earth. He developed many of the techniques you learned." Jin-ho felt a cold feeling in his stomach. "He taught my instructors?" "Yes. He will know all the standard tactics. You need to be careful." "I understand," Jin-ho said. The ship began to slow down. The pilot's voice came over the speakers. 2 minutes to landing zone. No signs of enemy detection." Dae-sung returned to the front of the ship. "Listen up," he said to everyone. "We land at the eastern edge of the city. Our intel shows the Scourge Command Center is in the old city hall at the center. We move in 3 teams. Alpha Team takes the main road. Beta Team circles around from the south. Gamma Team provides high cover from the buildings." He looked at Jin-ho. "Park, you will be with me in Delta Team. We will find a good position for you to watch over the operation." The ship touched down with a gentle bump. The door opened and cold, dusty air rushed in. The soldiers moved out quickly and silently. The abandoned city was eerily quiet. Tall buildings stood like dark shadows against the gray sky. Dust had piled up against walls and in doorways. Many windows were broken and some buildings had partially collapsed. Jin-ho followed Dae-sung through narrow streets. They moved carefully, watching for any sign of enemy forces. The other teams spread out according to the plan, reporting their progress through the communication system. "This place feels wrong," Dae-sung said quietly. "Too quiet." Jin-ho agreed. He had placed his small sensor devices along their path, but they had detected no movement yet. The silence made him nervous. They reached a 10-story building that looked more stable than the others. "This will be our position," Dae-sung decided. "Good view of the city center from the top floor." They entered the building and began climbing the stairs. The power had failed long ago, so they had to use their suit lights to see. By the time they reached the 8th floor, Jin-ho felt something was not right. "Sir," he whispered to Dae-sung, "I think we should stop here, not go to the top." "Why?" "The top floor is too obvious. It is where a sniper would be expected to go." Dae-sung considered this, then nodded. "Good thinking." They found a room with a broken window that gave them a clear view of the city center. Jin-ho set up his position while Dae-sung established contact with the other teams. "Alpha Team is approaching the main square," Kaivex reported. "No contact with enemy forces yet." "Beta Team is in position at the south entrance to the square," came another report. "All clear here." Jin-ho scanned the area through his scope. The Hoi City Hall was a large building with columns at the front. He could see no movement, but many windows and doorways offered perfect hiding spots for enemies. "Something is not right," Jin-ho said. "There should be guards, patrols. Where are the Scourge forces?" As if answering his question, a shot rang out. Through his comm, Jin-ho heard a cry of pain. "Man down!" Kaivex shouted. "Sniper fire! Cannot see where it came from." Another shot. Another cry. "Second man hit. Taking cover." Jin-ho searched frantically through his scope, trying to find the enemy sniper. His sensors were picking up nothing. "Beta Team, we are under fire too," came another report. "One soldier down. The shot came from the west tower." Jin-ho swung his rifle toward the west tower. a tall, narrow building about 500 meters from the city hall. He saw nothing. Then a realization hit him. Sir, it is a trap. The sniper is moving between positions. He is not staying in one place. Dae-sung grabbed his communication device. All teams fall back. I repeat, fall back to the landing zone. More shots rang out, more reports of soldiers hit. We cannot retreat, Kaivex shouted. We are pinned down in the square. Jin-ho studied the pattern of shots. These are human sniper tactics, he told Dae-sung. Move, shoot, move again. Never stay in one position. Can you find him? Dae-sung asked. Jin-ho shook his head. Not from here. He knows all the hiding places, and he is using something to block my sensors. What do we do? Jin-ho thought for a moment. I need to draw him out, make him focus on me instead of the teams. That is too dangerous, Dae-sung argued. It is the only way, Jin-ho insisted. I know how he thinks. I can predict what he will do. Before Dae-sung could stop him, Jin-ho took a small mirror from his pack and angled it to catch the sunlight. He flashed it 3 times toward the city center, an old Earth military signal that any trained sniper would recognize as a challenge. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a flash of light came from a building to the north, not the west tower, where the last shot had come from. I found him, Jin-ho said. He is moving again. He wants me to follow. This could be another trap, Dae-sung warned. It is definitely a trap, Jin-ho agreed. But now he is focused on me, not the teams. Tell them to get to safety while they can. Dae-sung looked unhappy but gave the order. The teams began to report that they were moving, carrying their wounded. Jin-ho packed up his rifle. I am going after him. Not alone, Dae-sung said firmly. I must. Anyone with me will be a target. This is between 2 snipers now. Dae-sung argued more, but Jin-ho was determined. Finally, the lieutenant agreed, but insisted on staying in radio contact. Jin-ho left the building and moved through the streets, staying in shadows and watching for movement. He was hunting now, but he knew he was also being hunted. For the next hour, he and the unseen enemy sniper played a deadly game. A flash of movement here, a distant sound there. Jin-ho caught glimpses of his opponent, a figure in dark armor moving quickly between buildings. The game continued as the sun began to set. The shadows grew longer, making it harder to see. Jin-ho knew he was being led deeper into the city, away from his team. But he also knew this might be his only chance to face Hak-Jun Lee. As darkness fell, Jin-ho's comm crackled with Dae-sung's voice. Park, report your position. The teams are safe. We can send help. Jin-ho switched off his gum. He could not risk the noise giving away his position. He was close now. He could feel it. A voice spoke from the shadows of a nearby building. You turned off your radio. Smart move. That is what I would have done. Jin-ho raised his rifle, pointing it toward the voice. A figure stepped partially into view. The man wore dark armor with a helmet that hid his face. He carried a sniper rifle similar to Jin-ho's. So, the man said, you are the human sniper who has been causing trouble for my Scourge friends. I wondered when they would send someone. After me, Jin-ho kept his rifle steady. Hak-Jun Lee, the man tilted his head. You know who I am. Good. Then you know what happens next. It does not have to end with one of us dead, Jin-ho said. Lee laughed. Of course it does. That is the way of snipers. One hunter, one target. Only one walks away. As night fell completely, over the abandoned city, the 2 human snipers faced each other in silence, each waiting for the other to make the first move. 3 days after the mission, life at Outpost Helios 7 had changed for Jin-ho. When he walked into the mess hall for breakfast, several soldiers nodded to him. Some even smiled. It was very different from the cold shoulders and laughs he used to get. Jin-ho took his food tray and found an empty table. He had just started eating when Miran sat down across from him. May I join you? She asked, though she had already put her tray down. Of course, Jin-ho replied. Miran leaned forward. Everyone is talking about your shooting on the mission. Kaivex has been telling the story to anyone who will listen. Jinho looked surprised. Kyvex has? Yes. He says you shot 6 enemies through a dust storm without seeing them. Is that true? Jinho took a bite of his food before answering. I did not need to see them directly. My sensors told me where they were. The rest was just math. Just math, Miran repeated with a smile. You make it sound simple. The principles are simple. The execution takes practice. 2 more soldiers approached the table. They were Venturi from Kyvex's team. Can we sit? One of them asked. Jinho nodded and they put their trays down. I am Taro, said the first one. This is Levo. We were with Team 1 on the mission. I remember, Jinho said. Taro looked uncomfortable, then spoke quickly. I want to apologize for laughing at your weapon before. I did not understand how effective it could be. Jinho was surprised again. He had not expected an apology. No need to apologize, he said. My rifle is old technology, compared to your energy weapons. But it worked when our weapons could not, Levo said. The dust interfered with our targeting systems. How did you compensate for the conditions? Jinho explained how he used his sensors and calculations to find targets without seeing them directly. The aliens listened with interest, asking questions about his methods. While they were talking, Kyvex approached the table. The conversation stopped as everyone looked at him. Specialist Park, Kyvex said formally. Lieutenant Daesung wants to see you in the command center immediately. Jinho stood up. Thank you, I will go now. As he was leaving, Kyvex spoke again. Park, those were impressive shots on the mission. Thank you, Jinho said, hiding his surprise at the compliment. Jinho walked quickly to the command center. When he arrived, Lieutenant Daesung was studying a large screen with several other officers. Ah, Park, good, Daesung said when he saw Jinho. Come look at this. Jinho moved closer to the screen. It showed images of the mining colony they had secured. The Scourge forces have regrouped, Daesung explained. They are gathering in the abandoned city on the far side of the moon. We think they are planning another attack on the colony. How many? Jinho asked. More than before. Maybe 60 or 70 fighters. But that is not the main concern. Daesung tapped the screen and the image changed to show a blurry figure in dark armor. They have a new commander, someone who knows Federation tactics very well. Jinho studied the image. Do we know who it is? Daesung looked uncomfortable. He glanced at the other officers who nodded and left the room. When they were alone, Daesung lowered his voice. What I am about to tell you is classified, Park. It came directly from Earth Command this morning. Jinho stood straighter. I understand, sir. Daesung tapped the screen again. A new image appeared, a man in a Korean military uniform. Jinho recognized the insignia of the Earth Special Forces. This is Hak-Jun Lee, Daesung said. Former Earth Special Forces sniper, one of the best. He disappeared 3 years ago after a mission went wrong. Earth Command believes he is now working with the Scourge. Jinho stared at the image. A human is leading the Scourge forces? It appears so, and not just any human, a highly trained sniper like yourself. Jinho understood why this information was classified. It would not look good for humans if one of their own was leading enemy forces against the Federation. Why would he join the Scourge? Jinho asked. We don't know for certain, but his last mission involved protecting Federation diplomats. Something happened and many people died. Lee disappeared afterward. Jinho thought about this. He blames the Federation for what happened. Possibly, Daesung agreed, but his reasons don't matter right now. What matters is that he is dangerous. He knows our tactics, our weaknesses, and he is a skilled sniper. I understand, Jinho said. What is our next move? We are planning a mission to the abandoned city. The goal is to capture or eliminate the Scourge leadership, including Lee. The 57th will lead the operation. Jinho nodded. When do we leave? Tomorrow morning. I want you to be ready. If Lee is as good as his records say, we will need your skills more than ever. Yes, sir, Jinho said. I will be ready. When Jinho left the command center, he found Miran waiting outside. What did the lieutenant want? She asked. Jinho hesitated. The information was classified, but Miran was part of the squad. She would be on the mission too. We have another mission tomorrow, he said simply, to the abandoned city on the far side of the moon. Miran's eyes widened. The old human settlement? It has been abandoned for 20 years. The buildings are unstable. The Scourge forces are gathering there, Jinho explained, under a new commander. Who is the commander? Jinho chose his words carefully. Someone dangerous. Someone who knows. Federation tactics. Miran studied his face. There is something you are not telling me. Before Jinho could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the outpost. Red lights flashed in the corridors. All soldiers to battle stations. A voice announced over the speakers. Enemy ships approaching. This is not a drill. Jinho and Miran ran to the armory. Other soldiers were already there, grabbing weapons and equipment. Kyvex was organizing his team. When he saw Jinho, he called out, Park, get your rifle. We need eyes on the perimeter. Jinho quickly collected his weapon and followed Kyvex to the outpost's defensive positions. Through the thick windows, he could see 3 small ships approaching. They were firing on the outpost's shields. Those are scout ships, Kyvex said. Too small to be a real attack force. Jinho watched the ships carefully. They are not trying to break through. They are testing our defenses, seeing how we respond. Kyvex looked at him. A reconnaissance mission? Yes, Jinho said. They are gathering information for a larger attack. The outpost's defense turrets fired at the ships, forcing them to retreat. Soon they were just small dots vanishing into the dust clouds. Lieutenant Dae-sung joined them at the window. You were right, Park. They were just testing us. It confirms. They are planning something big, Jinho said. Yes. And now we know we need to move quickly. Dae-sung turned to the gathered soldiers. The mission is moved up. We leave in 3 hours. Get your equipment ready. As the soldiers dispersed to prepare, Jinho stayed at the window, staring at the dusty horizon. Somewhere out there was another human sniper, one who had turned against his own people and the Federation. Jinho knew the coming mission would be the most dangerous yet. He would be facing someone who thought like him, who had the same training. It would not be enough to rely on alien technology or special abilities. This would be a test of human against human, and only one sniper would walk away. The dropship shook violently as it entered the moon's thin atmosphere. Jinho checked his oxygen mask and the seals on his combat suit one last time. Around him, the 12 soldiers of the 57th Special Operations Unit did the same. No one spoke. Even Kyvex was quiet now. Lieutenant Dae-sung stood at the front of the ship, holding onto a handle in the ceiling. 2 minutes to landing zone, he announced. Remember, our mission is to clear the path to the main control center and eliminate the Scourge leadership. The ship rocked suddenly. Red lights flashed inside the cabin. We're taking fire, the pilot shouted over the intercom. Hang on. Jinho grabbed the safety straps of his seat tighter. The ship dropped fast, then jerked left. Through the small window, he could see the rocky surface of the moon coming up quickly. Dark dust clouds covered much of the ground below. With a hard bump, the ship landed. The door slid open and immediately the cabin filled with fine dust. Move out, Dae-sung ordered. The soldiers rushed outside. Jinho followed, carrying his rifle in his arms. As soon as they were out, the ship took off, again, trying to avoid enemy fire. Jinho's boots sank slightly into the moon's soft surface. The gravity was lighter than Earth or Helios 7, making movement strange. He followed the squad to a large rock formation about 50 meters from the landing zone. Dust blew everywhere in strong winds. The sun was partly hidden behind the dust, clouds making the light dim and reddish. In the distance, Jinho could see the mining colony, a collection of dome-shaped buildings connected by covered walkways. Kyvex used his scanner to check the area. I can't get clear readings, he said to Dae-sung. The dust is blocking the signals. The Venturi's special eyes won't work well here either, another soldier added. This dust has metal particles in it. It blocks our vision. Dae-sung nodded. That's why we need to change the plan. He looked at the squad. We'll split into 2 teams. Team 1 will move through the main tunnel toward the control center. Team 2 will circle around to enter from the emergency exit on the north side. Kivek stepped forward. What about the human? He'll slow us down. Park will not be on either team, Daesung said. He'll provide overwatch from this ridge. He pointed to a high rock formation about 200 meters away. The alien soldiers looked at each other. One of them laughed. Overwatch? In this dust? No one can see through this, Kivek said. Jinho did not react to their doubt. He checked his rifle and made sure his ammunition was secure. Park doesn't need to see the way you do, Daesung explained. His methods work differently. Kivek shook his head. Fine. Let him stay out of the way. My team will lead the main assault. To fear, teams prepared to move out. Before they left, Miran approached Jinho. Can you really shoot in these conditions? She asked. Jinho nodded. I can. Just tell everyone to keep their communication channels open. I need to hear what's happening. Miran looked doubtful but nodded. She hurried to join Team 2. As the squads moved toward the mining colony, Jinho climbed to the ridge. It was a difficult climb in the light gravity. He had to be careful not to push too hard and send himself flying. When he reached the top, he found a flat area with a good view of the colony. Jinho set up his position. First, he secured his boots to the ground using special spikes. Then he opened the bipod on his rifle and lay down behind it. From his pack, he took out several small devices that looked like metal balls. He threw them in different directions, some toward the colony. These were sound and vibration sensors. Jinho had designed them himself. They would send data to the small computer on his wrist. Next, Jinho checked the wind and gravity. The moon's gravity was 0.37 of Earth's. The wind speed was high, about 50 kilometers per hour, moving the dust in swirling patterns. He entered these numbers into his computer. Through his scope, Jinho could see the teams approaching the colony. They were almost at the entrance when he heard Kivek's voice on the communication channel. We're at the main door. No sign of enemy activity yet. Moving in now. Jinho watched closely. Something did not feel right. The colony seemed too quiet. Then his sensors picked up movement. Jinho checked his computer. The vibration patterns showed multiple figures moving inside the building near the entrance. They were waiting in ambush. Stop, Jinho said into his comm. There are enemies just inside the door, at least 6 of them. I don't see anything on my scanner, Kivek replied. And I can't see through this dust with my eyes. Trust me, Jinho said. They're there, waiting for you to enter. Daesung's voice came through. Hold position, Team 1. Park, are you certain? Yes, sir. My sensors detect movement inside the entrance hall. They know we're coming. There was a pause. Then Daesung said, Kivek, find cover. Park, can you take them out from your position? Jinho studied his computer screen. The sensor data showed him where the enemies were standing. But with the dust and distance, it would be difficult. I can try, he said. Jinho adjusted his scope. The distance was just over 2 kilometers. He entered all the variables into his computer: distance, wind speed, gravity, air pressure. The computer calculated the trajectory his bullets would need to follow. He took a deep breath and focused. The colony entrance was barely visible through his scope. He could not see the enemies inside, but he knew where they were from his sensor data. Jinho fired 6 shots in quick succession. The rifle kicked against his shoulder each time. The sound was muffled in the thin atmosphere. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Kivek's surprised voice came over the comm. What just? They're down. 6 Scourge soldiers just fell. All headshots. The comm channel filled with excited voices from both teams. How did he hit them? He can't even see them. That's impossible. Jinho ignored the chatter. He was already scanning for more threats with his sensors. He detected movement on the colony's roof. Sniper on the roof, he said calmly. East side, behind the satellite dish. Before anyone could respond, Jinho fired once more. A moment later, a figure fell from the roof. Path is clear to the main entrance, Jinho reported. But be careful. My sensors indicate more movement. Deeper inside the building. Team 1, move in, Dae-sung ordered. Team 2, continue to the north entrance. Park, keep watching. As the teams entered the colony, Jin-ho kept monitoring his sensors. When enemies appeared, he called out their positions. Sometimes he took the shots himself. Other times he guided the teams around the threats. 2 hours later, the teams reached the control center. The Scourge leaders tried to escape in a small ship, but Jin-ho put a bullet through the engine as it was taking off. The ship crashed back to the surface. When the mission was complete, the teams gathered at the landing zone to wait for extraction. Jin-ho packed up his equipment and climbed down from the ridge. As he approached the group, he saw Kaivex talking with the other soldiers. When Kaivex noticed Jin-ho, he stopped talking and walked over to him. "How did you do that?" Kaivex asked. His tone was different now. No mockery, just genuine curiosity. Jin-ho tapped the small computer on his wrist. "Sensors and calculations. I don't need to see my targets directly." Kaivex was quiet for a moment. Then he extended his hand. Human gesture he must have learned. "Good shooting, specialist." Jin-ho shook his hand. He noticed the other soldiers watching them with new respect in their eyes. Lieutenant Dae-sung approached. "Well done, Park. The mission was a success, thanks to your overwatch." Jin-ho nodded. "Thank you, sir." As the extraction ship appeared, in the dusty sky, Jin-ho felt something had changed. He had shown what a human could do. Not by being stronger or seeing better than the aliens, but by thinking differently and using technology to overcome limitations. It was a small victory, but an important one. The first step to proving that humans belonged in the Galactic Federation's elite forces. Jin-ho Park stood alone in the armory of Outpost Helios 7, carefully cleaning his rifle. His hands moved with practiced ease over the weapon. Unlike the glowing energy weapons used by the other soldiers, Jin-ho's rifle fired solid metal bullets. It was old technology, but Jin-ho trusted it more than any fancy alien gun. The door slid open with a hiss. 4 soldiers walked in, their blue skin and tall bodies marking them as Venturi. They stopped talking when they saw Jin-ho. Then they started whispering and laughing. "Look, the human is cleaning his ancient weapon again," said Kaivex, the leader of the group. His voice was loud enough for Jin-ho to hear. "I bet he could not hit the side of a transport ship with that thing." Jin-ho did not look up. He kept working on his rifle, checking each part with care. He had heard these jokes many times in the WAM, 3 months since joining the 57th Special Operations Unit of the Galactic Federation. The Federation joined many alien races together. Humans were new members, only joining 20 years ago. Many aliens still saw humans as weak and primitive. Jin-ho was the only human in the 57th unit. Every day he had to prove he belonged here. "Hey, human, I am talking to you," Kaivex said, moving closer. "Why did Lieutenant Dae-sung even bring you into our squad? Humans are too slow and too soft for special operations." Jin-ho finally looked up. Kaivex stood 2 heads taller than him. The Venturi had 4 eyes that could see in the dark and through smoke. All the aliens in the unit had abilities humans did not have. "Lieutenant Dae-sung has his reasons," Jin-ho said simply. He went back to his work. Kaivex was not finished. He picked up a piece of Jin-ho's rifle. "What is this? A scope?" "Venturi do. Not need these. Our eyes can zoom in on targets 3 kilometers away." Jin-ho took the scope back carefully. "Please do not touch my equipment." Another Venturi laughed. "So serious. Does the human think he will get to shoot something tomorrow? We will finish the mission before he even sees the enemy." The door opened. Again. Everyone stood straight as Lieutenant Dae-sung walked in. Like Jin-ho, Dae-sung was Korean, but he had been in the Federation forces for 15 years. The 4 silver bars on his uniform showed his high rank. Few humans had reached such positions in the Federation military. "Is there a problem here?" Dae-sung asked, looking at the group. "No, sir," Kaivex said quickly. "We were just discussing tomorrow's mission." "Good, because I need everyone working together tomorrow," Dae-sung said. His eyes moved to Jin-ho. "Is your equipment ready, Specialist Park?" "Yes, sir. Just finished maintenance," Jin-ho replied. Excellent. All of you come to the briefing. Room in 10 minutes. Daesung left and the Venturi followed him out. Jinho put his rifle back together and stood up. A small figure appeared in the doorway. It was Miran, the squad's medic. She was Thalaxian, with smooth green skin and 6 fingers on each hand. Thalaxians moved faster than any other species in the Federation. Do not let them bother you, she said. Venturi always think they are the best at everything. It does not bother me, Jinho said, though it did. I saw your scores from the training range, Miran said. They were impressive, better than Kaivex's. Team, Jinho nodded. Thank you. Why does Lieutenant Daesung call you specialist? The others are called soldier, Miran asked. On Earth, snipers are called specialists. I was the top sniper in the Korean Defense Force before joining the Federation, Jinho explained. Miran looked interested. What can you do that makes you special? Venturi can see better than humans. Thalaxians move faster. What do humans have? Jinho thought for a moment. Patience, and we find ways to solve problems that others cannot see. They walked together to the briefing room. The room was filled with soldiers from different planets. Jinho sat in the back row, while Miran joined the other Thalaxians. Lieutenant Daesung stood at the front. Behind him, a large screen showed pictures of a mining colony on Helios 7's moon. Tomorrow at 0600 we drop onto the moon, Daesung said. The Scourge forces have taken over the mining colony. They have about 40 fighters and are led by this person. The screen showed a blurry picture of a figure in black armor. Our mission is simple. Get in, eliminate the Scourge leadership, and secure the colony. The mining operation is important to the Federation. Kaivex raised his hand. Sir, what about the dust storms? They are heavy this season. Good question. The dust will make things difficult. It blocks most scanning equipment and disrupts energy weapons at long range, Daesung answered. The Venturi soldiers looked at each other with worry. Their special eyes would not work well in dust. That is why Specialist Park will be with us, Daesung continued. His kinetic rifle is not affected by the dust, and he can hit targets without needing to see them clearly. All eyes turned to Jinho. Some looked doubtful, others curious. Sir, with respect, how can a human shoot what he cannot see? Asked one of the Venturi. Daesung smiled. That is what makes him a specialist. Park, tell them your longest confirmed shot on Earth. Jinho spoke clearly. 2,815 meters, sir, through a snowstorm in the mountains between North and South Korea. The room went quiet. Even the doubtful aliens looked impressed. How? Miran asked, from her seat. Math, Jinho said simply. Wind speed, gravity, air density. The bullet follows physics. I just need to calculate the right path. After the briefing, Jinho went to his quarters. He sat on his bed and opened a small metal case. Inside was a photo of his family back in Seoul. He had not seen them in 2 years. Tomorrow would be his first real mission with the 57th. His chance to show what humans could do. Jinho closed the case and prepared his equipment for the morning drop. As he worked, he remembered what his grandfather, an old soldier himself, once told him. It is not about having the best eyes or the fastest hands. It is about seeing what others miss and acting when others hesitate. Tomorrow, Jinho would show the Galactic Federation what human snipers could do.